Hey everybody, welcome to visionrecordingstudios.com and homerecordingmadeeasy.com here on my YouTube channel. And today I just want to show you a problem that I have, which is every year right around Thanksgiving through New Year's, they have what's called Black Friday and Christmas sales, as everybody knows, especially with plug-in manufacturers. And every year I get suckered into into trying out new plugins, and I just wanted to share with you some of the new plugins that that I received, that I picked up this holiday season. And a lot of these are still on sale for the next couple of days over at these companies. So this being January 2nd, 2015. I just wanted to show you the plugins that I have. You guys can go check these out. These are not going to be demos. This is just a blank session. I'm just going to show you the plugin and tell you maybe why I picked it up. and if appropriate, how much I might have paid for it for the plugin. But I will do demos on most of these at one point. But because these are all still on sale for the most part, I thought that maybe you guys would like to check these out. And I bought a lot more than I thought I was going to buy, but the deals are fantastic. And just like everybody else, I like getting new things, new plugins, and playing around with them and stuff. It keeps mixing interesting. So without further ado, the first plugin I picked up is from Waves, and this is a two-part plugin. This is the NLS summing plugin, which is very similar and does the same thing as the VCC, the Virtual Console Collection from Slate Digital. This does basically the same thing, where it has a two-part plugin. It has a channel that you put across all your individual tracks, and then it has a stereo bus part of the plugin. Emulated three different consoles, the Spike being the Neve console, the mic being the EMI console, and the Nevo being a Neve. So you have an SSL. I said Spike was a Neve. I think I said it was a Neve. It's an SSL, an EMI, and a Neve console. And just like the VCC by Slate Digital, this is meant to model the characteristics, the harmonic distortion, and all the circuitry of what happens when you run digital signal through an old analog desk. Works a little bit differently than the Slate does, a little bit more featured. Sounds really good. Compared to the Slate, it sounds very, very similar, but a little different. The thing that I like about maybe this over the Slate, and Slate hasn't come out with their new version yet, but they will supposedly in January, is on the channel portion. When you put this on your on each one of your individual channels, let me go back to the Spike. Okay, so the SSL, for example, what they have done is they have emulated not just a bunch of one channel of an SSL desk. They actually emulated all the different channels inside of that desk. So in this particular case, they emulated 32 channels of an SSL desk, because in the old analog circuitry world, as we've talked about before on this channel, every channel, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, etc., is all going to sound a little different because the components are different, even though they're the same make and model, but everything is slightly different. So plugging in a guitar, let's say, to channel 1 on an old SSL desk and plugging a guitar into channel 15 on an old SSL desk, or any desk for that matter, is going to sound different. The harmonic distortion is going to be different. The coloration is going to be a little different. The character is going to be a little different. So unlike the VCC, where they pretty much, you just set it to whatever console you want and it's the same across all your channels, this actually emulated different channels in the desk. So how you would use this is, you'd say you had 10 channels. You'd put one of these NSL channels across all 10 tracks, and then what you would do, the first channel would get the Spike 1, Spike 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now you have a little bit of a different characteristic on every channel, which is kind of neat. I've only played with this on one mix as I'm kind of mixing the song, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's better or worse than Slate. It sounds a little different. It's a little more featured. They have this thing called VCA groups, which is pretty interesting. You can hide that as well. I'll talk about that during the review. And what this plugin does is it allows you the noise factor. It allows you to take in and out the noise factor of what analog circuitry will give you, which is kind of neat. And then there's basic or usual suspects. You could drive the console. You can make up the trim control. You can bypass the noise. As I said, you can bypass the entire plugin. And so this is kind of a cool. This is again, it's made to compete with the VCC, which is kind of nice. And I picked this up. I think this is normally right around a $200 plug-in. I think I picked it up for $80 or $85. So I wanted to give it a try. I've been wanting to play with it. I've been playing with the VCC since it came out. I love the VCC, as everybody knows. I'm not saying I'm going to dump the VCC for this. They sound a little different from each other. And again, it's just another color palette on your you know, that you can use to paint on your canvas, if you will. So that's the NLS by Waves. Great plugin. I also picked up, which I did a video on a few weeks, about a week or so ago, the Vocal Writer by Waves. Again, this is a plugin that's a great utility plugin, makes working with vocals and that final pass, making sure the vocals sit on top of the mix. Works wonderful. I've used it on a couple of mixes now. I love it. Go check out my video on the channel. I love that it can write the automation lane, and then you can go in and tweak it. I wish I bought this years ago. I saw this, thought it was kind of hokey, but again, another $200 plugin I picked up for $79, and it's still on sale at Waves as I sit here and record this, so I'd go check it out. Wonderful plugin. Again, it's not going to do 100% of the rides for you accurately. You're going to have to go in and tweak it a tiny bit, but it does 90% of the work, and it does a great job. So that's the Vocal Writer. The next plugin is another one of these, just like the Vocal Writer. This is the Vocal Debreath. I picked this up for $24 the other day, and it's still on sale. I think, again, this is a $200 plugin, if I remember right. I could be wrong about that. Go check that out. But this is, I mean, for $25 bucks. I mean, how could you not buy it? This will allow you, and I haven't even used it yet, but I've seen demos of it, and it looks like it works awesome. When you're taking a vocal and you're taking the breaths out between the phrases, a lot of times, not a lot of times, all the time, I have to go in and I have to manually either take them out or fade them down, so you don't get that big in the microphone between lines. Again, just like Vocal Writer, it just takes a lot of the little tedious work away from working with vocals. The debreath, much like a DS, and again, I'll do a video on this once I play with it because I've seen it on YouTube, and if it works the way I see other people using it, if I can use it like that, it would work wonders. So this is another great buy. Again, you're looking for something to help you with your vocal editing. $25, you'd be crazy not to go look at this. So that's the Debreath by Waves. Awesome little utility plugin. So that's my Waves that I picked up. I also picked up a bunch. This is by FabFilter. This is called the Pro Q, and I featured this in my EQ Made Easy series. If you haven't seen that, I've used this EQ a lot. This is more of not a coloration, not a vintagey type EQ. It's more of a surgical, kind of a clean, transparent EQ. However, Pro Q has 3 different modes: 0 latency, natural phase, which I think is more of their analog-ish type response, but it doesn't give you the color of something like a Neve would. Anyway, what I like about this EQ, as opposed to just using a stock EQ to do all my, subtractive EQ and filtering, is that it's a little more fully featured. Number one, you're not limited to the amount of bands you could put on here. I love the display, and I think the display can even blow up if I'm not mistaken. There is a way to make, yeah, look at that. You can make this thing full screen, which is pretty cool. And I think you can make it small, medium, large. I forget I usually leave it at the default. This, I think, is the medium setting. It's a nice big display, easy to see. It's got a spectrum analyzer behind it, which I don't have any audio here, so you can't see that. But what I really like about this too is when you're going up and you're doing your sweeping techniques, which we've talked about a lot on my channel, you can click these little headphones and you can see where you can isolate just those frequencies and audition just those frequencies. So let's say you're looking for a really bad ring in a snare drum, you can just isolate the ring, which is really cool. And again, the controls are really cool. It's got things called EQ matching, which is something that when I do a review, I'll show you. This is a real nice fully featured EQ. This for me replaced my stock EQ when I'm doing a lot of filtering, high pass, low pass, taking out the bad frequencies, what I call subtractive EQ and filtering. This is what I use now, and it's a really nice EQ. Again, it could be bell curves, all the different types of notches, high shelves, all kinds of different curvatures here. Nice controls here, really easy to work with, real nice big display so you can see things. It's a really nice EQ. Again, I think I picked this up for $100. Excuse me, getting over a cold again. About $100, and this is, I think, about a $200 EQ. Go demo this one. I think this is still on sale as well, but FabFilter Pro Q. Awesome, awesome. Nice EQ. A lot of fully featured things to do with this. I also picked up by FabFilter the Pro DS. Now this, I'll do a review on as well. This is the best de-esser I've ever used, and I have about 7 different companies. This de-esser is awesome. And again, I can't show it to you while it's working because I don't have any audio here to show you or let you listen to. But this is a wonderful de-esser. Very smooth, very easy to dial in. It has a graphic display that'll show you where it's capturing the S's and the T's and the P's, and it shows you how much in the display it's actually de-essing. You can audition the frequencies, that it's de-essing. You got a threshold and a range. It's just really, 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 really good. I love this de-esser. Again, this is like less than $100. And I used to use the Waves de-esser, the Universal Audio de-esser. This is better. Again, another awesome utility plugin, makes de-essing really simple. And it sounds really smooth. It's really accurate. It doesn't really sound like you're de-essing, if that makes any sense. So that's the Pro DS by FabFilter. Now, for everyone has seen this, I did a review on this, or at least part of this. This is the Virtual Mix Rack by Slate Digital. Again, this is a wonderful, wonderful plugin. As we sit here and speak, there's only 5 modules to this plugin right now, but I'm hearing there's going to be more in the future. The next one being the VCC, which will be able to drop in one of these slots, is what I'm told. But you get 2 great EQs, an SSL and a Neve, and they sound great. You get 2 compressors, an 1176 style, and an FG401, which I guess is more of an original kind of a Slate Digital. I'm not sure if they modeled anything specific on this one, but this is their own kind of design, and it sounds great. I mean, it really does on everything. And then I did a review on Revival. Revival is just this Mojo thing, kind of a maximizer type of a plugin where you can dial in some thickness and some shimmer, and it really brings life to the track. This, I think, may still be on sale. It was $149 for 5 plugins. Revival is free. You can get that for free. You don't need to buy anything to get that. But the rest of the, $149, you get all 5. What's that, 20-something, $25 a plugin, something like that. Again, great investment. And as they add modules, it's going to be nice that you could just put this one plugin on and then drop your EQ, your compression, all your stuff right in one plugin, which is really nice. Really low CPU use intensity-wise, at least from what I can see so far. I think I put 50 or 60 instances of this on when I first got it to test it out. It barely hit my CPU meter. It was really, really nice. So again, Slate Digital, the Virtual Mix Rack, excellent, excellent buy. Now for you, for your Universal Audio cats, because that's what I got now left is the Universal Audio stuff. But you could buy the native versions of these too. A lot of these you don't need to have Universal Audio, so it'll apply to everybody. The first thing I picked up is the API channel strip. Now the one good thing about Universal Audio, and I'm going to do a whole series of Universal Audio plugin reviews coming up this year, is that yes, typically their plugins are very expensive. That's the one downside. Yes, you have to go buy the hardware card, and now after you buy the hardware card, which comes with a collection of plugins, but then to buy additional plugins, they get pricey, especially the new ones. But they run amazing deals during that Black Friday through New Year's. And what I do is I don't buy any of their plugins unless it's that time of year, because they cut the things down in half and sometimes by 75%. This plugin here is a $300 or $349 plugin normally, or $300, and I paid $99 for this plugin. And this is a wonderful plugin. An API channel strip, has a preamp, filtering for high and low pass, a gate, an expander, a compressor, and an EQ, all in one plugin. So if you're into using channel strips and you're into that analog vintagey kind of a vibe, this works well in conjunction with something like, let's say, the VCC, where the VCC is the first inserting your chain, or actually the tape machine is, then the VCC. And then after, let's say you put on the API console, then you follow that up by the API channel strips. And now you're really emulating the entire signal path of what was in an API desk. If you just use the VCC or just use the NLS by Waves that we looked at earlier, you're only getting part of the desk, because they don't model the channel strip itself. where you use a channel strip like this, and it does. And you can buy this. Waves makes an API channel strip, I believe. And so does, there's somebody else that makes one. And this is Universal Audio. So you don't have to have Universal Audio to get this. And I'm sure those companies, I haven't listened to the waves of the other companies, but I'm sure they're really good. So now by using something like the VCC or the NLS along with this, you really truly have now modeled the entire signal path of an old desk. And it makes a difference, believe me. So if you're into that kind of thing, this is a great plugin to have. This thing just sounds amazing on guitars, especially. The next one I picked up was the Neve channel strip by Universal Audio, and again, the equivalent to this would be, say, the Wave Shep 73, although they're modeled by the Shep 73 was modeled Andrew Shep's specific Neve console. This is a different Neve console, but it's still a Neve. It's got the same kind of vibe. Again, this plugin is normally, I think, $300. I picked this up for, I think, $100, if I'm not mistaken. And this is great. Again, it's got that Neve sound, and when you use it in conjunction with, let's say, something like the VCC or the NLS, and you put it on the Neve console, and then you run it through this, you can run it through the preamp, and then you have an EQ section. Again, this doesn't have a compressor on it, but again, you're now modeling more of the actual Neve desk. And what's great about this, and as well as the API, I didn't mention, if you are a Universal Audio user, if you use the Apollo interface, which I do, you can record. This has got the new Unison technology where you can put this on the input side and record into your DAW by using the Universal Audio console software. So if you're not using Universal Audio, this won't make sense to you. But if you're a Universal Audio guy or gal, and you know about Universal Audio and you have an Apollo, either the Apollo Twin, the Duo, or the Quad, you can put your preamps here. So I can record, here's the API, through, say I was recording guitars, I can record guitars through the API into Studio One, okay? And then not need to use it at mixing. So it's like recording through a real desk, and there's no latency because all the DSP is being used on the box, on the interface. So you could record through plugins with no latency. Okay, you can't do that in a typical DAW. If you were using Studio One or Pro Tools, and let's say you put this on your insert and tried to record through it, you can't do it. Well, number one, you can't do it because as an insert, you're only be monitoring it. You wouldn't be actually recording through it and imprinting the recorded piece. But just to monitor through it, you get all kinds of latency and delay. And if you do that across 10 tracks, you can't record that way. You have to record dry, and then you add it later. What's great about the Universal Audio and the Apollo stuff, it's got this Unison technology where I can record through an API, I can record through a Neve, or any of their other preamps, which is really cool. Okay, so that is, again, that's Universal Audio, the Neve. Picked that one up. I also picked up my Universal Audio, but again, this is made natively by other companies, I want to say Brainworks maybe? This is the SPL Transient Designer. I picked this up for $50. And so this is normally, again, a $200 plugin. This is great for snare drums and kick drums where you want to increase the sustain of the transient or get some more attack in on the transient to make the crack come through on a snare, for example. Sometimes after you compress, you kind of lose that transient a little bit on the front end. Sometimes you're forced to use a little bit faster attack, and that cuts off some of the punch. This adds that back in, which is kind of nice. Again, you could buy this by other companies. So that's really cool. And then I picked up also, again, the Universal Audio plugin, the Dimension D. Again, I paid less than $100 for this. This is normally a $200 plugin or $150 plugin. This is great. This is like a chorus, a real slow modulated chorus that isn't really hyped. It just adds a nice thickness to anything you try to put it on. I use this a lot on bass. It works wonders on bass because it doesn't sound like it's got chorusing on it, but it thickens it up, and sometimes vocals as well. This is a great, again, one of those utility plugins. I don't use it all the time, but it's something I've wanted to get for a while. And then a couple more here. Got another Universal Audio product. Again, you can buy this natively through other companies. This is the DBX 160 compressor, famous little analog compressor back in the 80s. Sounds awesome on bass, awesome on electric guitars. This one, again, was $40-something, normally $150 plugin. And then last but certainly not least, the Ocean Way Studios plugin by Universal Audio. You can't buy this natively. This is an amazing plugin. It's a reverb and also what they call a remic technology, where they've actually modeled the room in Ocean Way Studios. And you can just use this in a couple of different ways. You can put it on as an effects, and you can just send, let's say, your drums, your snare, your kick, your toms to this plugin as like a nice reverb. Or you can put this as an insert on say a snare drum, and you can change the mic configuration like it was recorded in Ocean Way Studios. So it's got two different functions to it. You have a near, a mid, and a far microphone that you can move around and blend together. You got two different rooms, Studio A and Studio B, and the configuration of where the drum kit is in those studios. They've also modeled where its string section would typically be, where a horn section would be. This is you could choose the different microphones, the distance of the microphones away from the source. I mean, really, really cool. This is an expensive plugin. This was $350. Nothing sounds like this in the world. And again, I picked this up for, I think, I want to say $150 or $199. So again, it was half price. It was less than half price. I've been wanting this for a while. I've been watching people use it, and it sounds amazing. I put this on almost every kind of rock drum track. I use this plugin on all that. Sounds awesome on strings, brass sections. It's just, you can, just using it as the reverb, it sounds amazing. The best reverb I've ever used. But when you use this remiking kind of deal, man, it really makes it sound like you recorded it in that big studio. So again, this is a good trick for if you record drums in a small bedroom and you're trying to get that studio quality sound. This is the way to do it. Yes, you can use a typical reverb and just throw it on a big room or a hall, but it doesn't sound the same. It doesn't sound natural. This does. It's a great plugin. Again, Ocean Way Studios. If you have Universal Audio, go demo it and try it. If you don't have Universal Audio, you're kind of stuck. They don't make this natively. So that is all of my plugins that I bought during this holiday season. Again, probably shouldn't have bought all these plugins, but again, it's cool to have new tools. So I'm going to be doing some reviews on these coming up over the next couple of months. I just wanted to show them to you. Go out and check them out if they interest you. They're still on sale. And again, for more mixing information and education, go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Check out the Made Easy series. Right now we have EQ Made Easy and Mixing Made Easy still up on sale. Go check those out. Wonderful tutorials, 4 and 6 hours in length, tons of training. And then also, if you'd like to take a look at some of my other services, mixing, mastering, and private instruction, you can go over to visionrecordingstudios.com. So thanks for watching. Until next time, I will talk to you soon. Take care.